You ever get that feeling that you're kind of trapped, not by walls, but by ideas, the things you've always been told to believe? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to unpack the sovereign ascent of the vertical rider. It's this incredible allegory about blowing up your own mental prison to find a really radical kind of freedom. So let's jump right in. Okay, so this quote, it really sets the stage for everything. It's talking about the old heavens, which sounds great, right? But it's not. It's this beautiful, intricate prison of ideas our hero, the vertical rider, has to escape from. And the key word here is brittle. It's a world that looks solid, but it's just waiting to shatter. So here's our roadmap for this journey. We're going to follow the rider through 6 key stages, from the crystalline prison, through his confrontation with the great sun mask, his awakening, shattering the truth, and then the dance of chaos, all the way up to the heights of mockery. It's quite a climb. All right, first stop, the crystalline prison. Our journey kicks off in this place called the Old Heavens. And don't let the name fool you. This isn't some divine paradise. It's a place built entirely on dogma, a prison made of other people's ideas, all designed to keep the spirit locked down. So how does this prison actually work? Well, it's all about these forces of confinement. Imagine being surrounded by what the text calls the chorus of the gilded echoes. They're constantly singing this song, this liturgy of the eternal symbol that tells you your real, physical, gut-level reality. It's just a metaphor, just a shadow of some higher, perfect truth you can never actually reach. It's a brilliant trap, really, a whole system built to tangle your spirit up in old, hand-me-down meanings. And the philosophical fuel for this whole prison system? It's a concept the text pulls from Nietzsche called the hinterworld, the world behind the world. It's basically any idea of a truer or more real world somewhere else, like a heaven or some perfect realm. And you can totally see how this plays out, right? Anytime we get obsessed with a perfect future or start glorifying the past, we're basically devaluing the messy, complicated real life happening right now. That's the trap. That is the hinterworld. Okay, so every prison has to have a warden, right? In the old heavens, the warden isn't a person. It's something far more powerful and way more deceptive. It's a symbol known as the Great Sun Mask. Now, here's the really clever part. The sun mask isn't some scary, monstrous thing. No, it's a beautiful trap. The text calls it an Apollonian projection, meaning it's all about order, harmony, and logic. It represents this idea of the eternal feminine, promising this perfect, divine stillness, a peace that never changes. And its whole purpose is to lure you away from the chaotic, messy, living reality of the world. But if you look really close, you start to see what the mask truly is. It's not divine at all. It's a holy shadow wearing a costume of dead metaphors. It's a scarecrow of the infinite. Think about that. It's just there to scare you away from a big, empty void of meaning. It claims to have all this unconditional authority, but in the end, it's just the beautiful, fading face of a dying sun. So how do you fight something like that? This huge, beautiful, holy deception? Well, the writer doesn't throw a punch. He has something much more powerful. A breakthrough. A moment of sudden, radical awakening. This, right here, is where the whole story pivots. It happens in a flash. This thing called the rune of non-correspondence just flares up on his brow. And what that means is, he suddenly sees that the old symbols, the old truths, don't actually connect to anything real. The wires are cut, the spell is completely and totally broken. And what comes out of him isn't a prayer or a cry for help. It's this deep, seismic, primal laughter. The text calls it Dionysian, which, if you remember, is the total opposite of that orderly Apollonian sun mask. This is chaos, instant, pure ecstatic energy. It's the sound of someone who finally gets the joke and realizes how absurd the whole system is and just finds it hilarious. And that's the punchline right there. All those unattainable goals, all that striving for some higher truth, it's all a grand celestial joke, a ghost story designed to keep him running in circles forever. What he thought was a sanctuary, he now sees for what it is, a cage designed to suffocate him. But just laughing at your cage doesn't actually get you out of it. An internal breakthrough needs to be followed by an external act. The writer's about to take this realization and do something pretty unthinkable with it. He walks right up to the Great Sun Mask. And this brings up a really fascinating question for any belief system, really. What happens when you stop just thinking and actually strike the idol, when you physically challenge that ultimate, untouchable symbol of truth? Well, the answer is kind of shocking in how simple it is. The mask doesn't fight back. There's no great battle. It just dissolves. It turns into a shower of meaningless confetti. And that right there proves everything. Its power was never real. It was just an illusion everyone had agreed to believe in. And that single act triggers a complete paradigm shift. I mean, look at this. The old world of solemn truth is replaced by the eternal folly of the new world. Instead of chasing some final achieved meaning, he embraces perpetual becoming, this constant state of change and growth. The cosmic game replaces unattainable goals. It's a total philosophical flip. So what happens next? You've just smashed the ultimate truth to pieces. You'd think that would lead to despair, right? Like falling into a bottomless, meaningless void. But for the writer, that's not what happens at all. For him, the void isn't empty. It's filled with the most exhilarating chaos. He goes through this incredible mental transformation, a total reframing. That feeling of high tension, which he used to think was some kind of divine judgment hanging over him, he starts to perceive it differently. He realizes it's just the vibrating energy of the cosmos itself, the infinite schism, as the text calls it. He transitions from being a servant of truth to a player in a game. And just like that, what was once terror becomes pure, unadulterated exhilaration. And this is the absolute key right here. He's no longer a servant bowing down to some higher truth. He's a participant. He's in the game. He's not following the rules of the cosmos anymore. He's dancing with its magnificent, chaotic energy. He's finally figured out it's the journey, the dance itself that matters, not some imaginary finish line. Which brings us to the final stage, the very peak of his climb. The text calls it the heights of mockery, or the y-axis. And it's here that he discovers the ultimate, most radical freedom of all. This is what it calls the law of the y-axis. And get this, up here, meaning isn't something you find and then lock away in a museum. No, the ultimate freedom is to squander it, to joyfully create your own values, your own meanings, and then destroy them over and over in this incredible divine dance. It's about becoming the god of your own ever-changing reality. And this is where the old morality gets completely flipped on its head. In a universe that's all about constant change, about perpetual becoming, what's the one real sin? It's clinging to a single, static, solemn truth. Trying to nail down the universe is the only real crime you can commit against it. So in the end, the writer's journey proves that the ascent, the y-axis, doesn't lead you to some quiet, static heaven. It doesn't lead to salvation. It leads to the infinite freedom of the mockers, the ones who can look at the very idea of a final destination and just laugh, because they're too busy enjoying the wild, chaotic, beautiful journey. And that leaves us with a pretty provocative question to chew on, doesn't it? The writer's journey is just an allegory, but the question it asks is very, very real. If the ultimate freedom is the power to create and destroy your own meaning, you have to ask yourself, what are the sun masks in your own life? What inherited values are you still bowing to? And what are you ready to shatter so you can build something new in their place?